Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to yet another episode of The Happening Woman. Today, we'll be discussing The Happening Woman and her story. You should be here to hear it. On my far left, we have Dr. Gift Mwemba, the spirit behind the letter. And then, right close to me, on my immediate left, we have Dr. Pindile. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome to the viewers.
The Happening Woman and her story. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
Dr. Mwemba, can you tell us what you were trying to bring out there when you talk about the happening woman and her story? Let me just say something a little bit. I'm thinking we read a lot of stories, we watch a lot of stories, we read biographies all the time, but I never got to a point where I acknowledged my personal story. I didn't even realize my life was a story. Can you please go into detail about that?
Yes. Everyone has a story. You are a story. I'm a story.
Yeah.
The story is the script of your life. It's your aspirations, your dreams, the person of your person. Who do you see?
Yeah.
Who is this person? It is the fuel for life. It's what makes you to wake up. It's your identity. It's your you. It's your intellectual capital. It's who you are. That's your story. Where from to where? So the happening woman has a story. No woman is born to be a co-actor.
Yeah.
In their life, they are born to act their story.
They are the main characters of
They
that
are the main character. They are the writer of their story, the editor of their story. They write the script. They act in that story. They are the hero in that story.
Yeah.
And if that story, for some reason, collapses, life collapses. When a story collapses, people say, what am I here for? You lose the drive.
Yeah.
You might even slip into depression because your story has... It is not that the world has collapsed. Your story inside has collapsed.
Yeah.
And so the happening woman has a story which she must stick to, which she must not drop. Dr. Ngumalo add maybe as to how that story develops.
Yeah. Dr. Ngumalo, may you tell us a little bit about your story? I'm pretty certain you do have a story to tell.
Oh, thank you. Just to mention that I am quite a storyteller. Everybody who knows me knows that I love telling stories. But I'm thinking in the context of today's discussion, it's not about necessarily my story, but I'm reflecting. So maybe let me put it this way. Today, I sit and reflect on the life that I've had and led, and looking at that as a story. So in simple terms, a story that could inspire someone, a story that was a dream at some point, and something that I wanted to see materialize, and I worked towards. But I'm not going to give you my story today because I'm a storyteller. We'll be here for the whole day. But just I'm using my story today to reflect on the life that I've lived. I'm also thinking that stories, when they're told, and people's lives as they unravel, become inspiration for some people. You mentioned in your introduction issues of biographies. One of the reasons we have such an interest in biographies is because we then are looking at someone's story as it has been told, as it has been lived. Often we also see how it ended, but there's so much to relate in a person's story. So without giving you the details of my personal story, for me, perhaps this episode is really about putting together what the life that is now was, how it had been, how I dreamt about it happening, obviously it did not happen as I had wished for it to happen. He speaks of collapsing stories, and that's when we feel our dreams and our stories are deferred, or our plans have been put in. Some people, they feel that their plans have ended, but some of us feel they are shelved. We just need to find ways to regroup and start pursuing those dreams. So it's really about reflecting and perhaps thinking about how the story should end. I love the illustration of the biographies, because that's really how it is. We see a life well lived, and we are given an opportunity to look at the influences in that life, so that we can see what it is that has shaped that life to become what it is. So my story is a story that one day, when I write my own book, when I decide to have the grit to be an author, I'll be able to relate. But today I'm reflecting on all the, we call it all the influences that have shaped me to the person that I am. And I think this is why this is such an important chapter in the life. Everybody's story is different. All the influences are different. It just depends on how we look, we view them, and how determined we are to keep our story going. Should anything happen that deters us from our main, from the goal of the story, what determination do we have to keep our story going? Yeah.
Dr. Member,
Yes.
there's something that she mentions that I really like.
Yes.
She talks about her dreams and aspirations. She says it over and over again. She
Yes.
says she had goals. She
Yeah.
has and had goals.
Yes, yes.
You talk about that a lot when you talk about
Yes,
a
I do.
woman's story. Can you please reiterate a little bit?
Well, you know, she has mentioned influences.
Yes.
The stories are contributory. When you ask a small kid, what do you want to be? They will tell you what they want to be.
Yeah.
They will tell you what they want to be because they've heard about it or they've seen. I once asked a little girl, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
And she says, I want to be a pilot. And I said, well, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But it's a story that changes over time.
Sure.
However, there is a theme that runs through it.
Yeah.
And that theme is that thing which nature, influences, counsel has helped you put together to say, you know what, in this life where there is sunrise and sunset, where there is gravity, me, this is what I will be.
Mentioning that, there's another point that I like with that. You call it self-gravity.
Yes.
What exactly is that?
Well, self-gravity is you have your story. You have generated your story. You have polished it in your head.
Yes.
But again, you start asking yourself with some negative self-talk, can I actually do this?
Yeah.
Remember, the greatest audience in this world is you. You are your greatest audience.
Yes.
If you can convince that audience,
Yes.
the rest is history. In other words, when you wake up in the morning and you look into the mirror and you say, you know what, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
If that person in the mirror says, let's do it, it's done. So those are some of the things that affect personal stories. In fact, I talk about the chisel of discouragement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a chisel of it's a point. It's a false story, but it has a point that the devil was selling some things on auction, and there was this ugly object. And somebody said, but why is this so expensive? He says, no, this one. This one is a chisel. He says, I take this and I gently tap the human heart to say, you know what? You believe you're going to be this, but really, can you do it? After all, you are a woman.
Yeah.
So, the happening woman has a story. Don't drop it.
Yes. Dr. Ngomala, I'm going to ask you just a little bit personal, just a little bit. Have you dropped the ball before?
The ball has dropped off my hands, yes. The answer is yes. So definitely, and I think this is because true to humanity, we have obstacles, we have
Yes.
challenges, and we can't definitely determine our own paths. There are other circumstances that influence that. So many times, sometimes on a daily basis, where you have something that's planned and it doesn't happen. So yes, the ball does. Let me put it this way: I don't drop the ball deliberately; it just chooses to drop off my hands. But keeping true to the vision,
Yes.
you find yourself. If it means, we call it pity days as women, where
Yeah.
you just pity yourself and
Yes.
have a pity day, but come back and find your ball,
Yes.
pick it up, and move.
I like that part.
Yes.
The part where she acknowledges that you get a chance to pick the ball up again.
Exactly.
Um,
In fact, if I may add, Mamaidi, you may not prevent the ball from dropping.
Maybe not.
It will surely drop at some time. Okay?
that's true.
But the challenge is, don't leave it down there.
Yes.
Pick it up. And the Bible says, will a man fall and not get up? The falling will take place.
Yes.
But get up. The ball might drop, but pick it up. It's your story.
It's your story.
Yes.
I love that.
And you regret if you don't live your story.
Yeah. Sometimes there are characters that come into our story, and when they do come into the story, and unfortunately for one reason or the other they leave,
Yes.
it feels like the story has just ended. Why does that happen?
Somebody wrote sometime, I can't quote that person, but they say each person who joins you in your life journey, you might not be going to the same destination. They might decide to say, okay, I have arrived,
Yeah.
continue yours. The other challenge could be, you know, allowing people to paste their story on you. Is what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes you allow a person comes and their story sounds so brilliant and you, oh, please, maybe let me copy and paste. But remember, you're not wired like them.
Yeah.
You are not engineered like them. And so really, as a happening woman, revisit your story, encourage your story, live your story, so that at the end of the day,
Yes.
you can look back and say, well, I walked my journey. It had challenges,
Yeah.
but I got the ball. I did not drop it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do I still have time to live my story? What do you think, Dr. Kumalo?
Oh, definitely. I think you do. I think you because your story is something that you own it. He mentions that you're the actor, you're the producer, you're the director. You own the story, so you know what it is that you want to achieve with the story. So definitely, if it drops, it drops. But you have the time to live your story. And I think at the end of it all, what we speak about in the story narrative is the influence and the impact
Yes.
of the woman.
Yeah.
So it mustn't just end up being just about you. It's how much you've impacted and
Yes.
influenced while creating the story that is meaningful to you as an individual.
If I may add to that,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, we all have role models.
Yes.
Why are they role models? It's because they lived their story.
And we watch that story.
And we watch that story.
And we love the story.
We love the story.
Yeah.
We get inspired. So in other words, by really sticking to our stories, we cross-pollinate. We cross-pollinate. We by default influence others.
Yes.
You know, by living your story. By abandoning your story, you by default encourage others to abandon their stories. Because they don't have a role model to say, but hey, she stuck to her guns. It worked.
Yeah.
That's the inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The Happening Woman and her story. Join us again on another episode that will come after this. Join us once again on our social media platforms, all social media platforms. The hashtag is The Happening Woman. Thank you.